Jordana and Todd, David Josephson at the helm. Thank you for spending some time with us this afternoon. As you heard in Sloan's news, there was a gathering of hundreds of people, old, young, activists, newbies, all sorts of folks over at the state capitol, and thousands upon tens of thousands around the globe, also in the hashtag climate strike.
Did she say 150 different countries?
Probably.
That's
I
a
would
lot of
say
countries.
that
Wow.
yes, I would say that is probably fairly accurate. The St. Paul March is a coordinated movement with youth protesting around the world with other folks, and really inspired by Greta Thunberg. As you remember, we talked about her yesterday. She testified before Congress. She's the Swedish teenager that landed in New York on a solar-powered yacht.
Yeah, how cool is
Walking
that?
the walk. She's walking the walk. Joining us now is Gabby Tan. Gabby Tan is a high school student and the leader of the environmental club at Minnetonka High School. And she and her team took a dozen or so kids from Minnetonka High School over to the march. Gabby, thanks for joining us.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. I know you were at the march today, so I just kind of want you to describe it for folks that didn't have a chance to be there. What did it look like? What did it feel like?
Well, I can tell you it was chaos in the best way possible. There were definitely so many people there. I honestly think that we were in the thousands. It was crazy. Everywhere I looked, there were just kids around me, just like me, advocating for what we believe in, which is saving the planet from climate change. And I mean, it was quite hot today. As you know, it's 85 degrees. The sun was beating down. But yet there were still, I think, thousands of people there sitting there on the steps of the state capitol. And we were listening to these wonderful speakers after having marched all the way there from I think we marched a distance of about 3 or 4 blocks. But it was still really amazing. The speakers did an incredible job.
So how did you get involved? You're a young woman. And how did you and your friends decide that climate was going to be your thing?
Well, I've been very passionate about environmentalism since I was a young kid. My brother, who's actually 10 years older than me, was the leader of Earth Club when he was in high school. So I kind of took it on as our own family legacy. But it's also something that I'm passionate for me. I truly believe that this is the problem of the century, and we need to protect our futures and our kids' futures and all the generations after us coming forward. So that is why I'm so involved with environmentalism.
So, Gabby, tell us a little bit more about the experience. So you all met at the sculpture park on Western, and you marched over. And was there just kind of a united front, and you all like gathered together? Were there signs? Were there, people marching and doing any chants? What was the feeling like and the energy in the group?
I mean, the energy level was incredibly high. It felt amazing. There were definitely signs everywhere we looked. I think my group brought about 10 or so. We had 15 kids. So that was really fun. There were definitely chants going on. There is something about, hundreds upon hundreds of people just saying the same things and feeling that unity, even with people that you've never met before. I think that that's one of the most moving feelings a person can experience. And I highly recommend that if you want to advocate for anything, you should go to a march for it.
Gabby, tell us a little bit about what Greta Thunberg means to you and what she means to your generation.
Greta Thunberg is honestly one of the icons of Generation Z, as they like to call it, because we're supposedly the last. But she inspires me every day. I actually am part of an organization that is inspired by her. It's called I Matter, and we work towards reducing carbon emissions throughout the globe, but specifically in the nation. I've been working with the Minnetonka City Council to try to reduce their carbon emissions and increase sustainability efforts.
Talk to me about some things that you do in your life, because I have small kids. My oldest is 16, and then they go down from there. And the younger ones, I'll have a lot of fear about the climate or the planet ending. That's a little irrational, but they have a lot of fear about that. And they think to themselves, what can we do? So we're considering composting in our house. But what are some of the things that you and your friends do that give you a little power to think that you're helping?
Well, I do think that being involved in Earth Club and spreading the awareness is something that I really enjoy doing. I like to just educate people and let them know about the problems that we are facing. I think that's the biggest thing, is spreading the word. And then besides that, some physical actions that you can take are just being really aware of what you're wasting. So for example, as you know, most people tell you, like, you turn off the lights when you're not using a room, or you use cruise control as much as possible when you're driving a car because that saves gas. Or for when you're brushing your teeth, turning off the water. I mean, it's simple things, but at least they can make you feel like you're helping overall in the big grand scheme of things.
Gabby, I noticed in the Star Tribune story that came out that this movement has even gotten a little bit larger. It says that the movement is also advocating for racial justice and equity and climate-related policy. Can you maybe expand on that a little bit and explain to me what that might mean and if that was represented today at the movement?
Well, I can tell you that it was definitely represented at the movement today. I thought that the speakers at the event were wonderfully diverse. There were people from Somali representations, from Hispanic representations, from Indigenous people representations. I thought that the environmental movement is becoming increasingly advocating for racial justice. And I think the reason why is just because this is everybody's planet. This is all going to affect us the exact same way if climate change does get to such a point where we cannot reverse it. But it is those people who are not granted the same rights as some other people who are in majorities that are going to be hit first, just because they're not going to have access to the same means of protection or things like that. And that is why the environmental movement is becoming increasingly intersectional.
We do know there is research behind the fact that low income communities and some more racially diverse communities, coastal communities, they are harder hit by things like climate change because they can't necessarily move to the top floor of a of a high rise, or they maybe can't get out of the situation of a family home that they have been living in for a long time and move elsewhere as the waters start to warm and they continue to rise and erode some of their coastal communities. So there is research behind that, so I can see why that would intersect. Gabby, I think we're out of time. Is there anything else you want to say? And you got a big microphone here. Is there anything else you'd like to add that we didn't ask you?
Well, I guess I would like to just tell the people to really consider what is important going forward in the world. Do we want to be fighting with each other when we could be saving everybody and saving the planet for our future generations?
Well said. Well said, Gabby.
Gabby Tan is the leader of the environmental group over at Minnetonka High School. And boy, I am glad that kids like you are out there working so hard and being so vocal and so well-spoken. Gabby, thanks for the time.
Thanks, Gabby.
Thank you so much.
You got it. I hope they save us all.
Wow, impressive.
I hope they save us all. I mean, my kids actually get mad at me. Like, you guys screwed it up. You littered and you polluted and you dumped stuff in the ocean and there's a mountain of plastic in the ocean because of you. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay.
Wow.
They do. They get angry, and I can see why they're fired up when they see pictures of turtles with stuff wrapped around their neck.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this goes from here.
Yeah.
As it begins to expand. But you know what? I don't want to see that turtle anymore, to be honest.
I don't want to see the turtle either.
Yeah,
but you know what? I think anything that can get kids involved and excited about civic responsibility and civil disobedience and affecting real change, anything they can wrap their heads around for a cause, I think is such a good exercise.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Excellent for them. Good to talk to those kids. It's also